Mate, you were at Trestles on July the 4th, so happy holiday, by the way.
Thank you.
Um, and awesome video, mate. I loved it. And mate, I just want to say, Taylor Knox was that the longest cutback, roundhouse cutback in history. He was
That
about
thing,
40 meters out front, and he just kept cutting back, and just did this nice little rebound. T Knox
I,
hasn't lost his roundhouse cutties. I love him.
no, I love him too. I can't get enough of his surfing. And if you haven't seen the video, check it out. It's on this same channel. It's Trestles, and I'm going to call it day of the season so far. It wasn't just me saying that; there were others. But there's Mick Fanning is in there. Mikey February has a huge part in that whole thing, and there's some others sprinkled in. And
Sawyer
dude,
Lindblad just ripping.
she was ripping. There's a brief appearance by Carolyn Marks, and there's
Hmm.
tons of local kids that make me feel like, okay, American surfing still has a future here.
Yeah.
It looked pretty good. T-Bone, what I do want to do is present this part of the show and let everyone know if you're in the podcast that this is going to play all the way through. If you're watching YouTube, we cut this video into two parts. First part is we talk surf, we talk the preview of the Jeffreys Bay Corona Open. And then we talk about we just make our picks. And if you're, I didn't explain that well. Did I say the podcast we played
Yeah.
all the way through?
Yeah, he played all the way through. Yeah.
Dude, I'm all festered because we had a crash. We the show's crashed a couple times. We're hoping it doesn't crash again. But anyway, yeah, so that's what we're doing today. And right now we're going to talk about the preview. T-Bone, I think that I'm looking at my notes here, and what the first thing I want to do is congratulate those that are in the fantasy league. Let's jump into it. And because it crashed, I don't have that available. There it is. Okay, there's the video that you're looking for. Brazil, here's our preview. Big crowds, big bounce on the beach. I wish we never go back, T-Bone. Your thoughts?
Mate, great party. Enjoyed it, mate. I had an absolute cooking time on the beach. It's a throwaway. I didn't watch any of it, but super surprised. Like I was picking a Brazilian surfer to win, and that's the history says that's who's won it. It's either Iago or Italo, Felipe, etc. Can't believe a couple of good old American boys in the final.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And we got a hard time in the comments about how bad our picks were. But you show me someone who picked Cole Houshman to win, and I'm going to give you a prize. You show me a power surfed Cole Houshman, and I'll get you a prize. How's that sound? I don't think anyone would have done that. And if I told you before this event that Miguel Pupo was going to be the best Brazilian out of the
Mm,
mix, you would not have believed me. Even though T-Bone, you picked Brazil, you picked Miguel Pupo, and you picked
Silvana Lema. Sorry,
no
sorry.
Luana Silva. Dude, I almost said the same thing, man. Dude, bear with us. We had a couple crashes in the start of this show, and we're just getting it back together. Yeah, you had Luana Silva. You had those two, and that was a pretty good call until you changed your picks. Never change
Oh,
your picks out there. But yeah, let's move on. I didn't necessarily want to talk about that. We'll get to some of the performance when we do the heat matchups. But here is here's the winner, and it's Gregori.
killed it.
One,
Wow.
yeah, look at those points, 1279, and then Eminem, new. I can't even say the next three, but congratulations to y'all. There's a top five, and it's a big deal to get in the top five in this league that's approaching 1,000. We have stopped new entrants because T-Bone. There's only two more events. There's this one,
Crazy.
Jeffreys Bay, and
Yep.
then Tahiti, and it's finals time.
Oh yeah.
And then because of that, I am going to show the top five in the overall league and who wins the Waves autographed by John Florence coffee table book. Captain Banks, Reese, dude, Reese has been through, he's been there for a while. He's dabbled in the top 10 off and on this whole season. And then the others are kind of new. Party Waves, well done, you guys and girls. And Captain Banks, you're in first. Hold your position. By the way, T-Bone, this event and the next one is double points from Pipeline. So tune in
you
your
need
A
them,
game.
mate. You need them. And
you
by the
see?
way,
I put
you
that
won't
up
even
there.
make it. By the way, you won't even make a 2-star QS with those points, man. 366. I'm 176 ranked.
Dude, 366. So what I like is that you guys stuffed me at Bell's and made my picks for me, and I'm going to just twig onto that as my excuse for the rest of the season. But I'm firmly in the middle of the pack, and it's slightly embarrassing, but there's been some crazy outcomes, especially in the last few events.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. We were going to talk about wild cards, but before I get into that, I want to bring up the surf report and look at that because that's always important. Let me see if I can do this. All my, there it is. No.
Is the surf going to be cooking?
Absolutely cooking, brew. Let me make sure I got this. Yes. All right, so T-Bone, in talking about the surf, today, tomorrow, 8 to 10 feet, absolutely cooking. And check this out, dude. I saw this guy. Where's his name? Well, there's two guys. One, this guy, Next Offshore Adventure. He has a YouTube channel. I'll link that in the description. Have you seen? I think we talked about this guy, T-Bone. I invited him on the show, but he's way too busy surfing. He's an older dude. He's got gray hair. He looks pretty fit. He drives his car down to the beach and he talks the whole time and tells you what's going on. And then he goes out in the water with his camera in his mouth and takes you for a ride down the J-Bay wall. It's sick, dude.
Sick. Nice.
And he's been talking about the surf, and he mentioned, I don't know his name, but he mentioned that this June has been a couple of the days in this June, but this June's been really good. This winter's been great. And he said that a couple of days in that swell were some of the best he's seen in a long time, like years,
nice
maybe
one.
In a decade or something.
So the contest window starts.
Oh yeah, we
11th
should
of
stay
July.
focused. I know you got a heart out. It
Look at
starts on July 11th. So I'll move the little bar over here. So these are the first 2 days, T-Bone. And if I was to make a prediction, I would say it will start on the first day and the second day and probably the third day. You only need 3 days. They could do a 3 and out here, but there's plenty of other surf after this. Go ahead.
I mean, but when's the window close? 21st, isn't it? Or the 20th?
It's the 20th, and it's a 10-day window.
Jeez,
So
look at that last day.
the very last day looks pumping, but you know how that changes as we go. But I would say they'll definitely run. I'm quite sure, based on this forecast, we're 4 days away, T-Bone, so that forecast is much more approachable than a regular forecast, and I would say that they'll probably run those first 2 days based on what follows afterwards.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
there we go. So that's now
That's not bad. That's not bad.
it's not
looking
bad at
promising.
all. And you want to pick your team based on that opening round in medium-sized, possibly performance walls, and by the dark green there, that means it's good conditions. And I would say, based on what I saw, T-Bone, on these, there's another video. I want to shout this out. This guy, Africa Surf, another YouTube channel, he had a clip that is worth watching. It's like 10, 12 minutes long. He's doing what OSD just did at TRESTLES. He shot J-Bay, and it's like 8 to 10 feet, and Ethan Ewing and Jordy, and a lot of pros are in this video. And T-Bone, the offshore wind is so hard, it's holding them up a little bit. And so it's not necessarily an air wind the way it's blowing. And I would expect a few less airs because of the offshores that I saw in that. And I also remember watching that video when I surfed there. I am sure you had this experience. You're not ever really trying to gain speed on your board. You're using your board as a way to harness the energy that's in that wave. That wave, you're just doing turns to adjust, and it's true surfing, man. It's absolutely true surfing, and I love that wave, and it's way harder to surf than it looks. It's very fast. It has sections that are tricky, and I think rookies are going to struggle a little bit if they haven't surfed there, and we'll talk about them as we go.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, T-Bone, or should we move on?
No, hey mate, why wasn't J-Bay on the schedule last year? I can't remember the reason why. Do you remember?
I think it was a monetary thing. I think
Yeah,
they
okay.
were. And remember, we didn't have the Abu Dhabi event to pay for J-Bay.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
those two are related, man. We did, however, have Brazil, and Brazil's a money maker as well.
It's so good to have J-Bay back.
So good, man.
Like J-Bay Chopes, I mean, how good's that into Fiji? It's so good to see Swirl, best right-hander in the world. Yeah, so psyched for this one.
Absolutely. And you just said it. The next three events, I am frothing about this. And especially starting with J-Bay with his forecast with an 8 to 10 foot day on the second day of the event window. So super stoked on that. T-Bone, I want to move into, let's get into matchups real quickly. And let's look at the women's matchups. Starting with the women's matchups, I'm going to read them off. Heat one and two that we'll look at first as the one part of the draw, and then heat 3 and 4 will be the other side of the draw. Heat one is Betty Lou Sakura Johnson, Isabella Nichols, and Luana Silva. Pretty tight heat right there, T-Bone, especially with Luana's ability to carve on right-hand walls. Isabella Nichols has done well in right-handers, especially El Salvador, and Betty Lou won at on the Gold Coast at Burleigh. So that's a sick heat. Who
It
would you
is.
take?
I would say that's the heat of the opening round for the women's.
I agree.
I don't know, like all such good surfers on their forehand, got really nice styles, and I think, you know what, I think Luana, I don't know how she's going to adapt to the cold water, but I think her style and some of the forehand wraps she does, I'm sort of picking her
Going back to the well.
just a smidgen. I just think she may get this one. Just.
Wow. Well, let's pick Luana and see what happens. 54% say Betty Lou, and then Isabella and Luana in that order. Next heat is heat 2, Molly Picklum, Aaron Brooks, and Sarah Baum. Sarah Baum is the highest ranking CS surfer out of South Africa, so she gets the nod there. She surfed in the last time we had J-Bay. She's a goofy footer, and I remember picking her and being disappointed that she didn't do that well. She's a good surfer, but
I won't be picking her.
She wasn't, dude. She wasn't up to the caliber, and I don't know. Molly or Aaron, who would you take out of those two in this heat?
I think Molly's on a roll, right? I think we've sort of been
I
tending
agree.
to go with Caitlin and Gabby's, but you got to go Molly. I think she's looking good.
Dude, the last two events, first and a second, that's pretty incredible. Moving on to heat 3, Gabriella Bryan, Tyler Wright, and Francisca Velasco, and she is the highest ranking CS surfer. That's how she got her wild card, and she'll be surfing, like I said, against Tyler and Gabriella. Gabriella in these right-handers, is that the recipe for success?
Like down the line point right-handers, we know that she's great in big, punchy, carvy waves like Margaret's and Sunset. Will a nice reeling point break suit her style? Yeah, hell yeah. She'll lay some massive hammers. But I'm thinking Tyler, I think this back injury was, I don't know if it was such a thing. It didn't look like it was really stopping her from performing in Brazil. But
Yeah,
Tyler's
true.
got a good record at J-Bay. She's a bit of a sleeper. for this event, I think, Tyler.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's see what the people say. 72% are going with Gabriella Bryan, and 15% do not know stats, and they're probably better off for that. We are we're going to talk about stats in a little while. We're also going to talk about in some events you just need to throw them away and just go with your heart or your head, because some of the stats just aren't working,
Yeah.
especially in that last event in Brazil.
Yep.
Heat 4: Caitlin Simmers, Caroline Marks, and Lakey Peterson. Another really good heat. I will tell you that when I shot Trestles, again, that was July 4th. Today's July 6th, and the event starts on July 11th. But with a time change, it's like 4 days from now. Caroline was out surfing, not judging, just reporting. Caroline was out surfing at Trestles. Maybe she flew out to South Africa that night, but I like to see, like, Gabriella Bryan's been there for a week, tuning in, getting used to the time change. I don't know. There's something I like about that, and it's something to consider. So, do you think Caitlin Simmers is going to come alive? She's had a few shockers. She just went out in the elimination round in Brazil. Who would you pick in that heat if you had to put money on it?
But to be honest with you, after watching your video of Trestles, just like I was watching Sawyer's vertical backhand is really nice, but then I saw Caroline Caralupo, we should call it Caralupo. She just looks a bit more rock solid on her backhand. And I just think J-Bay, I think she's got a pretty good record. I'm going with Marksy just a smidge. This is another tough one, mate, but I'll go Marksy on this one, only because I love watching goofies at J-Bay.
That's really cool. And speaking of Caralupo, Mark Akalupo was the first men's winner in the ASP event many years ago, and he's one of only two goofy footers on the men's side that have won the event.
That was the country feeling. That was the country feeling contest in '84, I think.
You are correct. That was a long time ago. Aki's prime. Some of you want to nerd out. Maybe I'll put a link to that in the description. Let's pick Caralupo. 24% agree with you. 53% say Caitlin Simmers is going to pull it together, and Lakey Peterson, dark horse for me, 23%. Let me give you a quick stat on Lakey. Two runners up and one win the last time we had this event. Pretty impressive consistency on the part of Lakey. Let's jump into the men real quick, T-Bone. Let us pull up the men's heats. Maybe we'll just pick our... let's go through. We got... Let's get rid of this ad. Just going to run through them real quickly. Elo, Jake Marshall, Seth Moniz, Heat 1. I think Elo's going to win that. 65% agree with me. Moving on to Heat 2. This one's interesting. Kanoa Igarashi, Joel Vaughn, and Alejo Moniz. Alejo surfed here quite a bit in the past when he was on tour before. And
many years ago.
He's got some decent stats. In fact, he beat Felipe a couple times. Joel Vaughn, I watched that video again. It's on Africa Surf, and he looked like he's trying to figure it out. But knowing Joel Vaughn, he will. I think he won't have his air game at his disposal. But Kanoa Igarashi, another guy that's super consistent, like Lakey, kind of a dark horse, under the radar kind of dude. Let's say I pick him. There it is. 73% agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, moving to Heat 3, Yagadora, Connor O'Leary, Matthew McGilvray. That's a cracker right there. I don't know. Who would you pick in that heat? I know who I'm going to take. Who would...
I remember last year, Yago come out of the... not last year,
2023.
2023. Like his opening round, he done a 360 air on the end section. Yago is so insane at J-Bay, but I love Connor. I'm going Connor.
Yeah, me too. I'm a big fan. He may end up in my fantasy picks, which is coming up in the next video if you're
9%.
watching
Wow.
this. And then the other thing I was going to say is if you're in the podcast, we're playing this all the way through. You already figured that one out. Matthew McGilvray's a hoax, dude. I picked him every time, every J-Bay event for the last 3 years, and he's never delivered for me. But this might be the one. So if you guys want to pick him and show me I'm wrong, prove me wrong, that's great. Because remember, he got a runner-up finish in the Latin American Jeffreys Bay at El Salvador this year. And the winner of that El Salvador event is none other than Jordy Smith, who's wearing the yellow jersey. Let's pick that. 87% are going with Jordy. I think a lot of people are going to pick Jordy. And then there's Luke Thompson, who won the Bolito event yesterday. And the Bolito event actually had good waves on finals day. But before that, that wave, T-Bone, it's right there with bouncy beach break Brazil. It's kind of a disaster. And we can do better.
Can I have a winch?
Please, dude. I've been on a roll.
I'm sick of commentators saying the waves are cooking when they're not. It's absolutely firing today. Yeah. And then you pan to the ocean and it's 2 foot fat wobble.
It's crickets.
And dude, it's not just Challenger. It's CT. It's QS.
Totally.
Guys, call it what it is.
Yeah.
Stop saying it's absolutely firing today.
Yeah.
It fucking annoys the shit out of me.
No, I'm with you on that rant. And
sorry, folks, for that rant.
No, that's absolutely appropriate and needs to be said. And it happens way too much. And there's certain commentators that's their go-to is like, it's that false positivity that really doesn't have any authenticity, and you lose the audience when you start doing that shit. You really have to call it what it is and be okay with it. Go, hey, surf's not that good today. Let's see how these people perform. This guy grew up in a beach break that was similar to this. I bet he's going to have a couple turns for that 2 foot, onshore wind, beachy, shit like that. You got to talk about it. So anyway, we're not going to have that for the first 2 days. Let's go to, so those first 4 heats are on one side of the you know what I'm trying to say? The bracket.
Bracket,
yeah. And then the other side is going to be these. Ethan Ewing, Cole Hauschman, Marco Mignon. I think Ethan Ewing all day, but Cole Hauschman, after performing well at TRESTLES, with that backside attack, man, judges seem to love him right now. He's the flavor of the year 2025. That strong backhand attack. I hope that Connor gets some of those points as well. Marco Mignon's been a little bit disappointing for the level of talent that he has. T-Bone, any thoughts on Ethan Ewing for J-Bay? Is that?
I mean, he's one of the fan favorites, and I mean he's got a pretty good record when you look at the stats on the surfmetrics.app. Thanks, still. Yep. It's hard not to pick Ethan. He's such a great surfer to watch at J-Bay. Can't wait to see him again.
Definitely. And next heat, Griffin Colapinto, Leonardo, and Rio Waida. Let's pick Griffin just for fun, 66%.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, he has not had great results. We're going to look at surf metrics in just a moment. Jack Robinson, Miguel Pupo, and Joao Chianca in Heat 7. Jack's had pretty good results the last 2 times out from my
Yeah, he was in the final
memory.
with Ethan.
Yes.
A couple of years ago.
2022.
Yeah.
And Miguel Pupo, he's always dangerous. And then I don't know what's happening with Joao. We'll see. I mean, all these guys, everyone we're talking about can win this freaking event. Next up, and let's just pick Jack like everyone's going to in that particular heat, 81%. We go to Baron Mamiya, Felipe Toledo, Alan Cleland. That's low-key a stacked heat. Except for Baron's, let me take that back. Baron's still, I think, dealing with a knee issue. I think he's having trouble turning. Did anyone else notice that, especially in a bouncy beach break? Maybe I'm wrong here, but I think he's got an injury that he needs some help with. I don't know. Have you seen any of his surfing and noticed that maybe he's struggling a little bit?
No, I haven't. I know this might sound strange, but I'd like to think J-Bay probably be better on the knee than surfing a closeout beach break. Um, so
Especially a
yeah,
bouncy one.
yeah, especially a bouncy backwashy one. Um, yeah, Philippe Toledo, 3 times winner at J-Bay.
Yep.
He's a fan pick. Yet to mate, he's going to make this is his time to make a run for the final 5 because going to Chopes, I've said it before. So this Phil could he win the 4th time? There's only 2 surfers have won J-Bay 4 times. Can you guess which 2 surfers?
Yeah, I actually know this. One I think is Kelly,
Yeah.
and the other who actually has won 4.5 times
Oh, true. You got me on a
is our
technicality.
friend Mick Fanning. And the reason I say that, for those of you going, what is he talking about? Or you probably got this trivia answer, is because it was the shark incident. And T-Bone, by the way, that's 10 years ago, a decade ago today.
Yeah,
I
wow.
can't believe it. It seems like yesterday. 10 years ago, when Mick was attacked or tangled up in Mick's leash at Jeffreys Bay during the final, dude, with Julian Wilson. I think what they did was they said, okay, both of you get an equal second and you'll split the points.
Yeah, it was
That
rad,
kind of
wasn't it?
sucks, but what's that?
That was rad. I clearly remember watching the final, sitting at home on my couch. Yeah, that was radical.
And I remember Martin Potter was like, holy shit. Oh, sorry. They were just and Joe's like just smooth as just walking through it. I think he's okay. And
Yeah,
but anyway, if you haven't seen that, maybe I'll put that link in the description. I'm sure everyone's seen that. There's probably 200 million views on that video. But hey, let's move on, and we're going to talk about the final 5 at the end of this preview. If we have time, we're up against it. T-Bone, there are some stats that will be on my website. I've got goofy versus regular.
yeah. I like that. I just want to say, Gabby Medina, I only just watched that final a couple of days ago. God, it was insane, that final.
That
It was
was
actually
insane.
it was actually 2 goofies in that final.
Yes,
Gabby
and it was,
and-
and that
and
had
Italo.
never. Yeah, when that happened, they were like, okay, there's going to be a goofy winning for sure. There hasn't been one since Mark Occhilupo, and those 2 went off. Sorry,
I'll put you on the spot, man. Who's your favorite goofy out of J-Bay of all time?
I'm old school, and I'm going to say Aki first, but God, it's hard because Elo surfs really well out there. But you know who I like? Matt Wilkinson.
Oh, mate, I was just going to say that.
Dude,
Matty Wilco at J-Bay.
dude,
I remember-
Wilco, pull some clips, you guys. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Like, I had Matty Wilco on the tip of my tongue then because I remember quite a few years ago when J-Bay was probably 6-8 foot and Wilco was going so vert,
Yep.
just one after the other. And when he's on a roll and he gets that rhythm, he's just so good to watch.
He really is. And there's a clip it's seared in my memory. It's like he does this radical, like straight up off the top, and then it kind of floats on this massive piece of whitewater. He's just an insane surfer. And
Yep.
and down the line speed and like knows exactly where to turn. But I think those 3, I just named a bunch of people. Gabriel Medina as well. I mean, that heat is incredible. You can go back and watch that. So there's goofy footers. All of this, by the way, let's go back for a second. I'm going to just tell you all what you can do is you can go to oldsurfdad.com, and if you roll down on the CT events stat, it's the J-Bay Open tab on the CT events, and you get your past winners. You can cruise through that. And then once you go down, you can get into the stats and analysis. There's a direct link to Dill's Surf Metrics, where if you want to go deep, man, it's all there. Past performances, stats, season stats, head-to-head, bracket predictor, all of it. And then I have the goofy versus regular men and women's, and then right point performance. You can click on this and go directly to Dill's Google Docs. So it's all in there. And then we'll talk about, actually, I wanted to talk a little bit about some key stats.
Go, man.
I think we pretty much covered it, dude. I had, my notes were Kanoa's consistency, Lakey's consistency. Kanoa's been, in fact, I'm going to pull up Dill's thing, and Felipe's wins. And then my other note I had was Jordy won 2 in a row back in 2010 and 2011.
Yes.
But he hasn't had a really solid performance or win, let's say win, since then. But this year is different, man.
You know why, man? I'll just add on that little stat for you. Ethan's had Geordie's number over the last few years out at J-Bo. When you have a look, Ethan's beat Geordie back in 23 in the round of 16, and then he beat him the year before that. With those surfers, will they meet? Will they match up in the brackets? That's a consideration, because Ethan seems to so far have Geordie's number out at J-Bo.
I believe so. What rank is he right now? I need to look.
Geordie's 1.
No, I know that. I'm wondering about
Ethan's 6. Let me have a quick look, actually.
If Ethan's 6,
hang on, I'll tell you in about 1 second.
Hold on. Rankings, championship tour. We should know this. Ethan's 5.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Geordie and Kanoa are going to be on one side of the bracket when all's said and done. I did a bracket. I did the, whatever Dill calls that, the bracket predictor several times, and number 1 and number 3 will match up in the round of 16, and then number 2 and 3, number 1 and 4 will match up in the bracket predictor, which is Jordy and Italo, and we've seen that matchup before this season. And then 2 and 3 will match up Iago and Kanoa. Then it will be Griffin will end up, I think, with Jordy, depending on how it breaks out with eliminations. Dude, I'm going to get so geeky gnarly. I don't want to do that. You guys do the research. It's all there on Surf Metrics. But what I do want to bring back is this particular sheet that you and I use. Oh, man. I just cut it off. Hey, am I losing you, T-Bone?
No,
with
you're
all
here,
this
mate.
Nerdiness.
No, mate, it's good. When we're in the business end now, you really need to really have a good look at some of the stats, the matchups especially, J-Bay past performances. I mean, it's really helpful.
Here is, so for example, let's pull this. So here are some of the performances. Jack Robinson has an average result of 3.5, which means he's gotten semifinals, but he's only surfed in 2 events at J-Bay, which seems strange. Now, Felipe surfed in 8 events.
Check that out, man. That's crazy.
Look at his numbers. He's got 3 first place. He's got a semifinals. He's got a quarterfinals. And then he kind of laid an egg in 2022. I think if you're going with stats, he's your guy. Jack Robinson, a 5th and a 2nd. And then look at Kanoa for a second.
Not bad.
The last 4 times out, 3
Pretty good.
semifinals in 1 quarter. That's insane. And then looking at Jordy, 9th, 5th, 9th, and a 3rd the last 4 years out. And then before
Look at
that,
Connor.
2 5ths.
Look at Connor's last couple of years. Well, 24 and 23.
Yeah,
that's not too bad. He's definitely improved.
It's quarters. It's quarterfinals. And remember, he beat John in that close heat. He didn't even think he got the number. That was one of the better heats that I've seen in a while. Those guys were going off. And then let me just click over this real quick. look at some of the people that don't perform. Miguel Pupos got some 25ths, a string of 25ths.
Shot.
Italo last year had a 17th, but before that, a quarters and a runner up. And then Griffin's he's got a couple 9ths and a 17th in there. That's not great, dude. So anyway, if you're gonna make picks by stats, Surfmetrics is a place to go. Surfmetrics.app. There is a link in the description of this video. We should look at the women and then move on. How we doing on time? Not great.
Get through the women's, and then we probably need to go
moving on. Molly, she was second. Tyler Wright's, like you said, she has a third and a second. And then Lakey Peterson, of course, won last time we had this event. Any thoughts on the women on this one, T-Bone?
I mean, yeah, Molly, Tyler, Lakey, Gabby, Marksy, when we've spoken about them before, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? It's so tight. And all those girls have got all good results, whether they're runner-ups, past winners. So, yeah, it'd be interesting, mate.
Well, yeah, and the other thing I was thinking about 2023 when we last had this event, was it Lakey? Was it 2023 or 2022? But Steph, it was 2022. It was 2022. Steph and Carissa and Tati were all in there in the mix. And they've all had success, and none of them are on tour now, which is crazy. A couple years later.
It is crazy.
It's the whole new crop. So, you know what I want to do? Last thing I do want to do before we make picks, T-Bone, I don't know if we have time for this, but I want to ask you, in the final five, here
Mate,
is...
so tight, isn't it?
Last thing I was going to say is this is a spreadsheet. It's just like the one for the cut that Dill has made, again, on my website. You can find it in the Google Docs link at oldsurfdad.com. Go to the JBay page, and he'll update this as we go. What's interesting on the women's side, T-Bone, if you look at that, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll tell you, those of you in your car listening on the podcast, that Molly, Gabriella Bryan, and Caitlin Simmers, pretty much, if they don't get eliminated, well, Molly and Gabriella are in. If Katie Simmers doesn't get eliminated again, she's going to be in the top 5, no worries. But they are fighting for rank. But that's how many points they are above everybody. And, dude, Molly Picklum, 63,000 points. Gabriella Bryan, 58,000. Caitlin Simmers, 57,000. And then it drops all the way down to Betty Lou with roughly 50,000 points. So Molly's got a huge lead. And you know what that is, dude? She's been that consistent.
Yeah, no, she's going really well. Wow, the women's sort of sewn up, isn't it? The first,
there's
4
2
positions.
spots left. Yeah, the first.
2 spots. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 2 spots left.
Yeah, and Betty Lou and Isabella both have 49,000. Then Caroline's right there knocking on the door with 48,000. So really, these women need a result. This thing could really shake up if there's some upsets. On the men's
Aaron
side,
Brooks make it?
Aaron Brooks can make it, and he's got it as a chance. Dill does, and if she somehow won the event, she would probably be able to get closer
And then go to Tahiti.
To go to Tahiti and get in. I picked her to win at the beginning of the season, T-Bone. I picked her in Yago. So I don't know. We'll see. If she gets in and she has a crack at Fiji, anything can happen. On the men's side, it's a lot more wide open. You know, those 5 spots. Felipe's at number 10, Baron 9. And number 8 is Jack, 7 Griffin, 6 is Ethan outside of the top 5, and then it goes top 5 goes from 5 up. Italo, Kanoa, Yago, and Jordy.
So tight, man. So tight.
And Jordy can really get a lead here with a good performance. He's at 54,000 points. And Yago at 54 and 53, respectively.
Jeez, so. Griffin, look at Griffin's charge. Considering Griffin was facing the cut, him and his brother were facing the cut at Margaret River, and now look where Griffin is now. So
He's number 7, dude.
his
And
style suits, like his style does suit J-Bay. So yeah, I know he's probably had a couple of bad results, but man, he's got it in him to take it out.
it's strange he doesn't have the results there, because it would seem like this wave is custom made for him because he does it all, you know? He has real game, he has turns, he has airs, he has the whole
Whole,
package. But
whole shebang.
yeah,
Mm,
very
but
interesting.
it
Last
is.
question. Last question. If John or Gabby or both, Gabrielle Medina, were in, how would this thing look?
Man, they would have had to push it at the final to the final 10. Gabby would be, but both would be in. And I'd say Kanoa would be out, and I'm thinking Italo would be out.
Well, we'll make our predictions in the next video. I'm going to say that this top 5, I think this top 5. Oh, wait, this is wrong. Wait, it's top 5. Ethan is in there. I made a mistake. The green. So it's Jordy, Yago, Kanoa, Italo, and Ethan. I think that top 5 may stay the same, but nothing ever stays the same.
Geordie's having a phenomenal year, though, too. Remember, I mean, he's having a phenomenal year.
Yeah, he certainly is. All right. Well, any other thoughts? We're going to go and make our fantasy picks in the next video. For those of you in the podcast, we're not even going to pause. We're going to jump right in. So join us in the next video, everyone. We'll see you there.
J-Bay, you.